What's up, everyone? This is Kronos, aka Adam, back with my WWE Week In review. As always, what I like to do is I like to go over everything that happened in WWE programming for the week, for Raw, NXT, and Smackdown. I've also done my AEW Week In review. That should be a link to that should be at the end of this video, and also just on the channel. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Social media is down there. Hit me up. Let me know how I'm doing. So we got draft week this week. Obviously didn't start until Smackdown, but obviously a lot of things were put in motion throughout the programs. And so got a lot to talk about. Not a lot of time to do it in, so we'll jump right in. So we're going to start out with Raw as always. So we get Orton in the room. Obviously this is since still going over what happened after Clash. So Orton's in a room, sitting in, doing a promo. At first I thought it was going to be Aleister Black, the way it was lit and everything. So he left Clash of Champions in an ambulance, not with the title. Remembered all the legends getting involved, needed them to feel and see what he felt at Clash, even though they didn't see anything technically. He gives this really long-winded blow-by-blow of what he did to each one of them. It was unnecessary. It took too long. All of a sudden, he says Drew will have hell to pay. Randy challenges him to a match at Hell in a Cell. Then Drew walks into the room and just beats the shit out of him. I thought that was great. We then get Zelina, Natalya, and Lana versus Mandy, Dana, and Asuka. Zelina is the only one that gets the jobber entrance, apparently. Still going with not acknowledging why Shayna and Nia didn't defend the titles. So weird. Dana with the flying head scissors. Kind of does like Carmella does, the kind of floating around in a circle. Zelina interferes, gives the team the advantage on Mandy. Hot tag to Asuka. Eventually, we get a V trigger by Mandy to Lana for the win. This looked rough, though. This looked square right in the chest. Eventually, Nia and Shayna come out with the heel still in the match. Zelina's like, fuck this, got out of there. Natalya's attending to Lana. Lana saves Natalya from going through the table, but eventually she gets another Samoan drop through the table, third time in a row. It has nothing to do with anything, right? That involves her husband. Definitely not. Truth is backstage doing a mock draft. You can see a janitor in the background. A ref shows up. Truth runs, slips, falls. Gulak pins him. He's dressed as the janitor, runs off, and Truth calls him Randy Orton. Recap of Hurt Business and Ali, Ricochet, Apollo from last week. MVP comes up to the three of them, talking to them about the draft. Said one night only. He has an opening for them in the Hurt Business. Ricochet kind of like hangs back a little bit, looking like he's considering it. We then get Seth and Buddy versus Dominic and Humberto. This will never end, especially after we know what happened in the draft. Buddy's not looking pleased with Seth. We had a long recap of last week. Emphasis on long. Seth wants the mic. Buddy is resistant to give it to him. Buddy needs to get something off his chest. He's done everything for Seth, plus more. He needs Seth to apologize, not to him, but to Aaliyah. Seth grabs the mic. Seth saved him. Remember, it's Messiah, disciple. Messiah, disciple. That's the relationship. He could have exposed the other DMs, about how she doesn't like her family or what all this stuff is. Humberto and Dom rush the ring. Stereo cross dives to the outside by them. Buddy has to tag himself in and vice versa because they don't want to tag each other in. Humberto with tag during infighting. Humberto with the corkscrew over the top. Buddy with the V-trigger to a flying Humberto. So Humberto dove off the top, catches a V-trigger in the face for the win. Buddy just walks right off. We get Pierce backstage on the phone. Braun shows up, says there's no Raw Underground tonight, but wants a match. Pierce says, he can possibly give him an unsanctioned match because he's not a member of the roster. Keith Lee comes into frame, says, sign me up. So we get Seth confronts Buddy backstage. He apologizes for nothing. Buddy should apologize to him. And he says he has until 10 p.m. To find him and apologize. So we get the KO show. He doesn't even want an intro. Says he feels changed. Describes the feeling of what happened with the Fiend on SmackDown. He tosses the set. He says, who's next? The Brood, the Ministry, Firefly Funhouse on the Tron. Bray says KO is his new best friend. The Puppets want to know if they're going to get drafted to different brands. Bray wrote a song about friends. Rambling Rabbit is eaten by the buzzard. KO won't sing. They could have been friends until he attacked him. Says, I don't like bullies, and neither does he. That's his Bray. Bliss is between them. Don't get involved. That's just between him and the Fiend. Says no idea what you've gotten into. KO says he's going to find Bray, goes backstage, and as he's going up the ramp, Black attacks him, hits him with the Black Mass, and knocks him out. So we have a backstage interview with Drew. Anytime I'm in the same building with Randy, he's going to get the crap kicked out of him from now on. Joe shits on Byron for basically repeating what Drew said. It was kind of funny. Braun video package, why? We got Braun versus Keith Lee. It's a double count out. I'm like, are you serious? This is so stupid. Everything they're doing to Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, Keith Lee, they've completely ruined them. Braun runs through Keith through the barricade. Lee is down, then back up, and they continue to fight up the ramp. Braun into the LED boards. Lee runs through Braun, and they both go through like some kind of makeshift stage off the main stage. Bianca at a game night is just shitting on everyone. It's like Trivial Pursuit, but she gets every answer right. I don't know what kind of game this was, but she just knew everything, and it was annoying them, all the girls that were there with him. Gulak is trying to hide backstage behind the dumpster. Says he's always prepared. Truth and Randy. That is the worst Gulak costume. Gulak trips over a garbage can with Akira in it. All three fight in the dumpster. Truth eventually retains the 24/7 title and runs off. We get Ricochet and Apollo versus Lashley and Shelton. MVP, they can win a match, but they can never win the fight. MVP blames Retribution and puts them on notice. Calls T-Bar Teabag. Ali says they have yet another excuse. Ricochet fakes that he's gonna, join them and then passes. Ricochet says he's been on the business end of a beatdown for months and he ain't running now. So we get the deadline clock for Buddy's apology, which I thought was completely ridiculous. Ricochet is taking heat. He slaps MVP. Flatliner by Lashley for a 2 count. Apollo hits a standing moonsault. Lashley breaks up the pin. 2 super kicks by Ricochet to Lashley. Tilt-a-whirl into a Dominator. Shelton with the nasty German release on Apollo. Apollo evades a spear, but eventually gets put in the Hurt Lock for the win. So once again, Hurt Business beat Apollo. It's now like 7 months in a row. Buddy is walking backstage. Aaliyah is there, waiting to talk to him. It's brutal. It's brutal to listen to. I know that they just want her more. She's obviously going to be more in a acting capacity, not obviously a wrestling capacity. She needs to work on her delivery. It just sounded so just bad. It was like community theater, like first time reading lines at bad. Her Business are walking backstage. Ali confronts him, says he challenges MVP and he wants the rest of them out there too. Seth is out to the ring, calls out Buddy. Seth is getting frustrated at Buddy's reluctance. Buddy attacks him. They fight to the outside over the commentary table. Buddy beats Seth with a kendo, and then Seth apologizes. Buddy drops the kendo stick, and then Seth goes for the eyes and the kendo stick for himself. Aaliyah comes out to protect Buddy. Dominic and the family come out, confused, and bring Aaliyah away while Seth looks on smiling because he leaves. He goes to the back. The Mysterios leave, and while this is all going on, Seth is watching sideways on a monitor. The women's tag titles, we get Shayna and Nia versus the Riot Squad. Shayna stomps Ruby's arm. Shayna with the cross arm breaker on Ruby. Nia is now beating the shit out of Ruby. Hot tag to Liv, taking out both until Nia steamrolls her. Riot Squad takes control on Shayna. We get the step V trigger and then the clutch on Ruby. Obviously Ruby passes out or taps, and then Liv is really upset, trying to protect an unconscious Ruby. Okay, so now the Riot Squad are just basically, showing that nobody can beat these two. Street Profits promo backstage. They see Drew. The smoke is all yours. I'm just going to beat the crap out of Randy because they have a 6-man tag later. So we get MVP versus Ali. This is pretty big. MVP sent to the outside. Hurt Business come out in control of Ali. Lights flicker. Retribution logo appears. All of a sudden, they surround the ring. Ali's with them, and Hurt Business get together. They go to Ali like, "Are you in? Are you in?" And he goes, "Fine, I'm in." So he's about to go after them, and then looks like he's joining up just for a temporary alliance. He then leaves, gets out of the ring, confronts T-Bar and Mace, and at first Hurt Business are like, "Holy shit, he's gonna try and take them on by himself." He then turns and says, "Get him." So it turns out Ali is now directing Retribution. They beat the shit out of Hurt Business. They get back in the ring. He does his usual hand, closes it, and then we go to commercial break. So Ali is now in charge of Retribution, I guess. We then get our main event, Randy, Dolph, and Bob Roode versus Drew and Street Profits. I think I was kind of out of it, so I don't really have much notes on this. We get the cash out on Randy. The pin is broken up. Zigzag on Ford. He catches a Claymore on Roode, an RKO on Drew for the win, so the heels win this one. And that ends Raw for this week. Obviously, the biggest thing is Ali being in charge, being, I guess, the leader of Retribution. They better not give him a name. They better just reveal that everyone else is former wrestlers. That's what I hope. I mean, it makes sense for him to be there based on what their justification is for what they do. So we get NXT now at the Capitol Wrestling Center. I think there was more fans this time than there was at the Takeover event, but I do like it. So we start off with Ciampa and Kushida. Apparently they had to be separated backstage so badly that the Regal said he couldn't wait, so he just put them on first. I love aggressive Kushida. Apparently Dream suffered a fractured wrist, they say, at Takeover. So you get a basement dropkick by Ciampa as Kushida is going for his handspring, which I thought was pretty clever. It's back and forth. Kushida fights off a Willow's Bell. Handspring knocks Ciampa to the floor. We get Kushida fight off an avalanche air raid crash by Ciampa. Commentary makes a comment of Ciampa looking at them, but only sees Vic there. But I actually realized that Wade is actually there. I don't know why he wasn't there for Takeover, though. That didn't make sense. Ciampa hits a flatliner into the turnbuckle. Ciampa fights out of an armbar with a sit-out powerbomb. We get the wind-up punch, sends Ciampa to the floor. Reverse Danielson stomps by Kushida. We get the hoverboard lock, but then out of nowhere we see Dream come to the top. He goes after Kushida, but he actually hits Ciampa. Kushida gets the upper hand. Ciampa is pissed off because he gets the win, but it's a DQ win, and Kushida is going to his watch saying, I know, as a smirk on his face going, I know I should have won that one. So this obviously isn't over between Ciampa and Kushida. I don't know where Dream fits in, especially now that he has the cast on his arm. I don't know. Ember Moon is already in the ring. Kind of got the Mad Max vibe going on with regular jeans. She's shocked that they actually let her talk. She had been in isolation for 14 months, which really sucked. I'm glad she's back. She need to stop the pumped-in crowd noise while she was talking, though. That was just really weird. That was really distracting at some points. She determined that there's such thing as Ember's Law. No one will tell her what to do or walk over her ever again. And Mommy wants some gold. Io's music hits. Before Io gets a word out, Rhea's music hits. Rhea loves the new attitude, but Raquel and Dakota Kai attack her, and Moon helps her. They start brawling. Regal comes out, says, you know what? You're going to get a tag match later tonight. Io is in the ring like, nah, I'm out of here. So we get a Drake arriving to the Performance Center. They've been preparing. They're ready. Got new theme music. Dane shows up behind them, says we're not friends or a tag team, but they have a match tonight, Drake says, against Everrise, and Dane's obviously very frustrated. So we get a backstage interview with Io, wondering why she didn't help. She said, Moon is not her problem, Rhea is not her problem, her title is her problem. We get a recap of Balor and Riley match, and Holland. Undisputed Era backstage. Sunday was the worst. They're all giving Kyle props, even though he's kind of down on himself. Cole has a black eye and broken ribs, and he says that Ridge Holland is a dead man. We then get Everrise versus Drake and Dane. There's this corny whistling music, and I think it's hysterical. What's his name? Drake is trying to dance to it. Dane says to stop the music, throws Drake in the ring. So this is where I realized Wade Barrett was actually there. Drake's too concerned with praise from Dane. Dane won't reach out far enough for the tag. Everrise is screaming out that he hates you, and then Dane agrees, which I thought was funny. Martel calls Dane a fat bozo, which is you saw what happened with Roderick Strong. Just shut your mouth. So Dane beats them up, drags Drake over to the corner, tags himself in. He goes on offensive flurry. We get Drake then tags himself in as Dane is about to do a Vader bomb. Dane's obviously not happy about that. Dane then power bombs Drake onto Parker for the win. Drake starts dancing to celebrate, goes to try and raise the hand. Dane knocks him out. Dane starts to walk away, then kind of feels bad, pulls Drake over his shoulder and walks off. And then Drake comes to and he's all celebrating, giving the thumbs up while the music's going on. I thought this was really funny. I think they could actually be a fun tag team. Recap of Toni Storm's return. We have a shot of 3 weeks ago. She was in Mexico training. She was on top of the world, but no one's heard from her since. This is going to be a new start and a Tony like we've never seen before. I don't know what that means. So we get the Garganos are at home walking the dog in matching jumpsuits, which also is pretty cool. Sunday sucked. They deserve rematches. They need a plan, though. They get to their house, and there's a TV on the front porch. Candice mentions Indy. Johnny's like, that goofball, who's she beating? And it turns out the TV is from her. It's a nice 65-inch HD. And then he's like, yeah, I always loved that girl. I've always told you that. So they bring the TV inside. We get Austin Theory versus Leon Ruff. Theory with the Jobber's entrance, but Ruff gets the full Jobber's entrance because at least we heard Theory's music. Leon's really quick, getting a lot of shots in. Talk about Theory's immaturity backstage. Leon botches some rope bounces. Eventually, Theory hits him with the TKO for the win. Congratulations to Leon Ruff, though, because he's officially the newest recruiting class of the Performance Center, which I'm not sure exactly how that works because he's been involved in matches between 205 Live and NXT, maybe even Raw and SmackDown, I don't remember. But he's been on the roster for a while, so I don't know what this means officially as a member of the Performance Center class. I mean, he just needs to bulk up a little bit, and then because he's just absurdly skinny. He makes me look like I'm jacked, and I'm not. So Theory gets on the mic. Cole caught him while he wasn't warmed up. Theory's the future of NXT. Dexter Lumis music hits. He goes to the ring, and apparently they just say, okay, you got a match now. Lumis versus Theory. Thez pressed by Lumis. Theory retreats, but Lumis stalks him. Nasty Bulldog. Theory spikes himself on the mat. Theory gets advantage during picture-in-picture. We get a standing moonsault by Theory for a 2 count. Big spine buster by Lumis. Then a monkey flip. Lumis does a stare down, and Theory tries to flee again. Eventually, Lumis hits the side effect, and then the Anaconda Vice, where Theory passes out for the win. But the thing is, as Lumis is getting up from the Anaconda Vice, out of nowhere, Grimes comes into frame, hits the cave-in, says, when I ask you a question, you answer me, you freak. And obviously that is going from last week when he was looking for Regal and Lumis didn't answer him. So we get an interview with Raquel and Kai who are getting ready backstage. They attack Rhea because she got involved with them last week, and Moon better get in line because Kai still thinks she should get another title match. Grimes backstage once again reiterates he attacked Lumis because he didn't answer him. Holland, Lumis, whoever they are, they don't mess with Grimes. I'm going straight to the moon. So then we get a Prime Target epilogue about the match between Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor. This was really cool. Apparently we get a fractured jaw by Finn. This belt is cursed, man. It's cursed. Whoever gets it just gets injured. That's bad. Hopefully he doesn't have a long time out. Ridge Holland from earlier today arrives up in a Mercedes, says he didn't have a Mercedes before Cole, but thanks to Cole, now he does. So obviously someone was paying him off. This is very unfortunate, as we'll find out later. Backstage interview with Priest. The after party was great. Who's the next man up? They can get a reckoning. They can get a reckoning. I will live forever. Ridge Holland versus Danny Burch. So a lot of stuff happened here. So we get a slugfest, a missile dropkick by Burch, German release for a 2 count by Burch. Slam drop by Ridge, kind of what he did and almost killed Johnny Gargano for the win here. So Ridge tries to disrespect Burch, who takes exception to it. They start fighting. Oni Lorcan comes out to assist, but Ridge takes him out too. Oni hits a Tope Con Hero, but Ridge ends up on top. They fight back in the ring. They get broken up again. Then Oni goes for a Pescado. Ridge catches him, and you could see his leg buckle. He screams like a maniac. It's bad. The refs, and then obviously Oni doesn't know what's going on, so he's going for some punches. The refs tackle him off Ridge. They throw up the X. This looked really, really bad. That we come back from break, only to find out that what do we get here? Hold on. Okay, yeah. So we go to a break finally. We then come back. Garganos are watching the new TV. They're watching the Women's Battle Royal. Johnny is, and then Candice goes, "Why are you watching that?" And he goes, "Oh, there was a USB that Indy left in the box." And he's like, "Did you know that Indy saved you several times?" And I had actually said this, that Indy Hartwell saved her a couple of times, and it didn't make any sense at first. But he goes, "There's something here," and he always liked her. She's got a bright future, obviously. Now that she got the TV and helped Candice, but. This is some nice long-term story booking now. It makes sense. Like, okay, there's a reason why she kept saving her, because we hadn't seen anything from Indy Hartwell since. Thatch as Thatch can. We had Life is Full of Peaks and Valleys. You have to strike first. So he pulls one of his students into a Fujiwara, then a crossface, and he won't let it do it to him. So then we go back to Ridge is now being in an air cast. He's being carted off. He gives the thumbs up. This is really unfortunate for him. Obviously, they had big plans for him. Someone was paying him off. But I mean, there are some pictures of it. I think he had successful surgery, but it was bad. It looked like he broke his ankle and a couple other things. It was really rough. It's really unfortunate that it happened like that. I don't know if it's more of a just inexperience of catching, because Oni didn't do anything different on the Pescado than he normally would. So I just don't know, if he didn't brace right for it or what. But it's really unfortunate for him. Obviously, you wish him the best. Hope he comes back stronger and better than ever. I don't know what his timetable is for a return. That's a pretty nasty injury, so I can't imagine it's going to be several months of before he's even able to fully walk without a cast or something like that. As far as what the storyline is, I mean, I guess, what they can do is they can have someone else now be the hired gun to take out Cole, or, I'm not really sure what they want to do with this now. Obviously, they have big plans, but, I trust NXT, even though lately it hasn't always been the best as far as storyline, but for the most part, they pretty much are on point, so I trust them. So we get Shotzi Blackheart versus Xia Li. She's got a Halloween-themed tank and the Halloween Havoc t-shirt on, which I thought was cool. Very hard-hitting match here. There's an attempted superplex by Xia. She gets sent to the mat. We get the top rope senton by Shotzi for the win. As that happens and she's, Shotzi's celebrating, Xaya's in the corner, very pissed off. Obviously, she's been showing a lot of frustration. Boa from the Breakout tournament is there, kind of jacket, shirt, but jeans and sneakers. I didn't know what that was for. So hands her a letter that's with Chinese lettering on it. She reads it. She's like, "Is this yeah?" And he nods, and they leave together. I don't know if this is gonna be some kind of triad type Chinese faction here. I mean, it'd be interesting and different, if there's some kind of real storyline here for them. Obviously, it gets Boa involved. It gets Xia Li, who's very talented, involved in a storyline. So that would be pretty cool. And then we get our main event: Moon and Ripley versus Raquel and Kai. Ripley at the top of the ramp for far too long. I thought she was just waiting for Ember Moon, but she wasn't. So we get new entrance music and Tron video. Just a wolf mask that's attached to her hood. I thought that was pretty cool. She looks great. She's been, obviously out for more than a year. She looks crisp, not a lot of ring rust there. Every time she lands on her feet from something, I get a little nervous just because of the fact of, she tore her Achilles, or ruptured her Achilles, whatever it was. Ember with some great dive, with a great dive, takes out Kai. Rhea hits a cannonball senton, takes out Raquel. Raquel with the blind tag gets the boot on Rhea. Rhea taking heat during picture-in-picture. We get the hot tag to Ember. Kind of a low flatliner by Raquel. On Raquel by Ember Moon. Codebreaker on Kai for a 2 count. We get a pump kick power slam combo on Moon for a 2 count. Electric chair facebuster by Rhea on Kai for a 2 count. She hits the chiropractor on Rhea for a 2 count. Rhea pulls down a Raquel suplex attempt into a DDT, which was pretty cool. Rhea and Raquel go over the commentary booth. Eventually, what happened was one of the best eclipses I've ever seen by Ember Moon. Hits it on Kai for the win. There's a show of respect between Moon and Rhea, and that is NXT for the week. So obviously, Ridge Holland getting hurt throws a big monkey wrench. Finn with the broken jaw is pretty big. Obviously, we got maybe a new kind of faction going on with Indy Hartwell and Candice. That would be pretty cool. Drake with the great with the the theme music, and Ember Moon back. So I mean, there was a lot that happened in NXT. After a takeover, so this was good. I really appreciated this. And finally, we got the draft night. So the draft was the night one of the draft. So we get 20 stars in the draft pool. Cole makes a point to say if a champion is drafted to a different brand, that title goes along with them, which I thought was the obvious thing. And obviously it makes even more sense toward the end of the night, so we'll get into that. So Stephanie comes out, and I'll give my thoughts on some of these draft picks if need be. Stephanie comes out, round 1, Raw first pick, Drew McIntyre, obviously. SmackDown first pick, Roman Reigns, obviously. Raw second pick, Asuka, okay? SmackDown second pick, Rollins. So Rollins is the first to jump brands here. I mean, he's been Monday Night Rollins for so long. And then Raw with the third pick, the Hurt Business, the whole faction. So they didn't break them up there. So Seth's backstage. He says, you know, it was never about the name because obviously it's no more Monday Night Messiah, no Monday Night Rollins. Said it was all about the message. You know, he just won't be there in person to watch the Mysterio family implode. So then we get a Falls Count Anywhere match, Big E versus Sheamus. This was just wild. So we get a Uranagi in the corner by Big E, big spear through the ropes for a 2 count. He's got to stop doing that. His feet caught the ropes. He landed like face first into the floor. He takes too long to get the kendo stick, catches a boot. We get he's tied up in the ropes and then beaten with a kendo stick by Sheamus for eventually for a 2 count. Sheamus gets his ankles duct taped and beaten with the kendo stick. We come back from commercial. They're fighting to the back. The welts show on Sheamus' skin, obviously being very fair-skinned, let's just say. Sheamus is shoving raw eggs into his mouth because apparently this is where they make the pancakes. So it's just eggs and flour there. I thought that was a little weird. I think there's a bird. Yeah, there's a bird on my AC unit. So they fight into the... So Big E starts beating him with brooms and a garbage can in the hallway, which goes into the parking garage. Sheamus plays possum, then hits Big E with a crowbar or tire iron. That looked like rough. Hits White Noise on the windshield for a 2 count. Scaring these birds away. So then we get... so on the windshield, shatters the windshield for a 2 count. Sheamus then tries to smash Big E's arm in a trunk. Big E is able to to hold the trunk up with his foot. He gets out of it. Sheamus goes for a brogue kick. Big E evades. Sheamus kicks the trunk right off the hinges, which I thought was pretty wild. Sheamus gets powerbombed in the hood, but it wasn't as good, so he kind of just slides off. Then we get a big... So they fight to the top of the car. He then hits a big ending through 2 tables for the win, even though the camera angle was terrible. It was bloody. It was wild. So then we get a backstage interview. A security guard comes up. Turns out it's Kofi. Another security guard comes up. It's Xavier. They're all congratulating him, and you know, obviously they're all celebrating. You know, but they say that they're missing something, and then the tag team titles, and you know, Big E looks like, you know, he's obviously getting involved with the, you know, New Day Rock stuff and all that stuff, but you could tell he's either upset that they're kind of concerned about the you know, the tag team titles when obviously he was, you know, focusing on his singles run. You know, you're not really sure there. Obviously, later on, it makes more sense. It could be also that he was just, you know, he knew what was going to happen and was, you know, a little emotional over it. We get Jey Uso out to the ring. He wants to know the stipulation. As he does the catchphrase, Heyman interrupts him on the Tron, says it's always at his discretion, his being Roman Reigns, of when he says and does things. They show a video package for anyone on SmackDown who wants to step to him, and it's just the video, a montage of Jey Uso getting beat up. Roman, they pan back, and it's Roman sitting at a desk, says, you know, believe what you saw. All you had to do was acknowledge me, but we're going to have an I Quit match in Hell in a Cell. And when you say I quit, there will be consequences. So it's not the consequences of an I Quit match, it's there's going to be more to it. So Stephanie is showing cards to Pierce, who's giving like fake reactions. Stephanie then celebrated as Forbes' most influential chief marketing officer for women's equality, for talks on racism and safety to fans and wrestlers. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, women's equality, you don't even have your women's pay-per-view this year. You treat the women like shit now. I mean, the women's division is awesome, and you don't treat them right, and you don't give them enough, except for Bayley and Sasha and Asuka. Other than that, you don't do anything for them. Racism and other things, I can't really speak on that because I don't really have a, you know, I don't really pay attention as much to that on their outreach stuff. I know there are some questionable people in there, but that's more for the Me Too and that kind of stuff, and that's nothing I want to get into right now. And then the safety to fans and wrestlers, yeah, safety to fans, because there is none. And the safety to wrestlers, you weren't even testing for a while. I mean, how many positive tests did we have in outbreaks? I mean, it was ridiculous. So I was shocked at that. I mean, most influential female chief marketing officer, I get that, but like why she got it, I thought that was ridiculous. Anyway, I'm off my soapbox now. Round 2, saying the New Day will get a tag team title shot tonight as well. So Raw's 4th pick, AJ. So we get him being on SmackDown made no sense anyway because he just walked on to SmackDown. It wasn't like he was drafted. He wasn't traded. They never really explained that. He was just on SmackDown when he was a Raw superstar. So Raw now has to waste a pick to get him back. Okay. We get third pick by SmackDown is Sasha. Okay. Raw's fifth pick, Naomi. Really? I forget who was in the draft pool, but Naomi was the best? Okay. SmackDown fourth pick, Bianca Belair. Awesome. Great pick. Great pick. And then Raw's sixth pick, Shayna and Nia. So, yeah, they're sticking put, but they can still do whatever they want anyway because they can go on SmackDown or NXT anyway because they're the tag team title holders. So we get AJ at home. He should have been picked first by SmackDown. Doesn't want to be surrounded by cheaters and guys with neck beards like Sammy. So I think this is good. This will be a good challenge for Drew. Miz and Morrison versus Hardy and Riddle. Apparently this match was made via social media because Riddle wanted to tag with him. Tag with Hardy simply because he didn't know if he was going to be traded or not, drafted. So they called it Broetry in Motion, where they did it a couple times, where Riddle would get on all fours and Hardy would springboard off him. Riddle beats the shit out of them, pretty much for a squash win on the Miz. Kind of just does the Bro Derek on him. This was just didn't even make sense. Miz and Morrison over the last 2 weeks, Morrison got the squash loss, and then both of them got the squash loss as a tag team. So we had a feeling we knew what was coming there. Lars Sullivan is back. He comes out and beats the shit out of everybody. Hardy, Riddle, and Miz, as Morrison's fake trying to pull him out of the ring. Miz gets absolutely destroyed. Lars Sullivan was I believe the reason why the Hardys had to give up their tag team titles before Matt Hardy left. So, Jeff Hardy's look is just oh shit, not again. So then we get round 3. Stephanie's out there. So Lars apparently will be part of the draft pool on Monday. So Raw's 7th pick, Ricochet. It's a bad move. He needs to go to SmackDown. He needs to change. He needs to be off of Raw at this point and away from the Hurt Business. 5th pick, Jey Uso, obviously. For SmackDown. Raw on the 8th pick, Mandy Rose. And I'll say this after because I got to finish. I'll finish my I'll finish it when I say my other thing. And then the SmackDown 6th pick is Rey and Dominic. So we get months more of this feud with Rollins. Jesus Christ. We did not need any more of this. Raw's 9th pick is Miz and Morrison. So they'll be moving from SmackDown to Raw. Basically, there are going to be no tag teams on SmackDown. I think they're just going to abandon the tag team division. That's what it seems like. Rey and Dominic are backstage. They're happy. And then I made a note about Bayley not being picked, but then I realized she's in the draft pool for Monday, so I was stupid there. SmackDown women's title match, we get Sasha versus Bayley. This was just dumb. This was no point because Bayley just hits her with a chair and gets the DQ. It looked good for the first couple minutes. Obviously we know that they can go, but we just knew this was not going to happen. It was going to be a waste. Sasha then turns the tide, does the chair shots to Bayley, is about to put her head in the chair just like Bayley did to her. Bayley gets out, runs off. Recap of KO and The Fiend. KO's getting ready. Alexa approaches him and says to let him in. We get the SmackDown Tag Team title match. Cesaro and Shinsuke versus New Day. So for a second, when they came to, when they opened the frame up, they were Shinsuke and Cesaro were in the ring, and Shinsuke was doing his thing where he lays down and kind of is going to his music, but it was a split second. It looked like he was knocked out. So I was like, wait, did Cesaro just knock him out, or did someone knock him out or something? That was not the case. Kofi and Kingston are representing the New Day in this one, rocking their Reptar gear. Xavier Woods looks yoked, so I'm happy to see him back. Not showing any ring rust as well. Kofi's taking heat during the commercial break. Cesaro gets hip tossed to the outside, and then Kofi does this really cool thing where he kind of bounces off the top rope, on his stomach to the outside, and then catches Cesaro in a DDT. It was pretty impressive. We get the swing Kinshasa that they're trying for. Xavier Woods grabs Shinsuke's ankle so that he can't do it. We had a Trouble in Paradise on Cesaro, then a Trouble in Paradise on Shinsuke, a springboard elbow on Shinsuke by Xavier Woods for the win. So Big E is in to celebrate. He's all iced up. Right away I knew, okay, they're celebrating, but yet we see Stephanie coming out. I was like, okay, something's happened here. They're about to get broken up in some way, shape, or form. I figured it was just that Big E was going to get drafted to Raw or something like that. So she goes with the Raw 10th pick. New Day, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions were now picked by Raw, and it's just Kofi and Xavier Woods. So then you hear Woods going, well, say Kofi's name. I mean, say Big E's name. Why Big E? Don't say Big E. SmackDown 7th pick is now Big E. He looks heartbroken, but here's the thing: you can pick a faction. Why pick the faction? At least give us some understanding as to why. You know, maybe there were some discussions between Fox and USA, and one really wanted Big E, one wanted New Day, so they came up with a compromise or something like that. Just give us something, because it makes no sense, 0 sense. We then get Raw's 11th pick, and this is where I just really so stupid. Dana Brooke. She's in a tag team with Mandy first, so you could have just taken. Not blown one of your picks by taking Dana Brooke and Mandy. 2, you just traded for both of them a couple of weeks ago. What kind of idiots run this place? It's like you're doing a rent-a-player, because now you had to waste picks to get them, and then waste or draft picks or whatever you had to give up in the trade, only to waste 2 picks to draft both of them back onto your brand. Makes 0 sense. So stupid. No justification. And then we get SmackDown's 8th pick is Otis. Why? Why no Tucker? You can pick a tag team. Why no Tucker? It makes 0 sense. Then we get, but he'll probably get like picked up in like the I think there's gonna be some more picks that happen after this morning or on social media. But either way, it's just stupid. And then Raw's 12th pick, Angel Garza. I thought he was still injured. So does that mean that Andrade is going to be back to SmackDown? Like, it makes no sense. So stupid. No logic. I mean, if you want to do these things, you can do them, but just give a little bit of logic. You treat us like idiots. Like, we're just supposed to be like, oh, okay, great. Like, just make it a little bit, I don't know. I'm getting frustrated. Anyway, Otis and Tucky. Let me see where I'm at here now. Okay. Otis and Tucky are backstage. Otis is concerned for Tucky. He says, don't worry about that. He's dressed in a suit. He says, don't worry. Miz and Morrison are being drafted to another brand, so you got that, and we got to worry about this lawsuit. They start saying some legal terms, which I thought was pretty funny, and then he gets served again. He's served with continuance papers, meaning that they're going to extend it. Tucky says, they're just doing this to drain you dry, and he says, no one drains my moisture. Oh yeah. Recap of Sasha and Bayley. Sasha should have known, challenged her to Hell in a Cell. So right now that means I think there are 3 Hell in a Cell matches. So that'll be interesting. Season premiere is next week of SmackDown. We get Roman versus Braun for the title. New Day in a farewell match. So they're going to be, it's the 3 of them versus Sheamus, Cesaro, and Shinsuke. So we get the Fiend versus KO in the main event. Fiend's first match on SmackDown, apparently. He no-sells pretty much everything that KO throws at him. We get a Uranagi on the table, then a Sister Abigail. We're back in the ring. We get a Uranagi and then does the neck break. KO fights off his Sister Abigail. Fiend is no-selling the super kicks. 2 cannonballs and a DDT on the floor. KO with the frog splash from the apron. We get a botched pop-up powerbomb. Does the second one. It's kind of okay, but Fiend goes through the table. Fiend beats the count, gets the mandible claw. KO hits a stunner, but he no-sells it, still with the mandible claw locked in. Does a Uranagi, still with the mandible claw locked in for the pin. The lights go out. Lights go back on. Fiend and Alexa are up on the ramp, and they're just doing a stare down. So that's it from SmackDown. A lot of really annoying stuff happened, but we'll see what happens on Monday on Raw and what happens in the subsequent days probably on social media. As always, I give my match of the week. Obviously, it's the Falls Count Anywhere match, Big E and Sheamus. That was just a hoss battle. That looked great. I understand. I mean, it makes sense why SmackDown would want to keep Big E. I get that. Just make it make sense for us. Sheamus obviously has the greatest complexion for showing all the kind of damage that he took. They were both bloodied, just battered, bruised. This was fantastic. I'm very interested to see where they go from here. I feel bad for Big E because he looked absolutely heartbroken. Oh, excuse me, I get the hiccups. Absolutely heartbroken over the breakup of New Day. Obviously, they're going to be in the same place, so that's a good sign. So there you have it. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Social media is down there. Hit me up. Let me know how I'm doing. Check out my AEW Week In review as well. So as always, be safe, love each other, and bye now.